Mr. Stockholm himself.
That's right, Jacob. I'm just doing time. Okay, yeah, I got like an hour. So sometimes I just have that, this travel pain. Like, what time is it? When's my flight?
Okay. That's what we've evolved to. That's the next level, where it's like not trying to do a Zoom when you're feeling contenty. It's like you're just so busy and flowing and going, but you kind of miss it. It's like you miss me, but also you miss. Okay. What's up, brother?
Much, I was thinking about today is how, all right, so I'm going through and recreating like my work. How do I want to work? How do I want to make money? And life too, but let's think about work. And I actually don't know if people have expectations on what that looks like when people, like when an entrepreneur starts a business, do you think they have like a clarity or not? But I think sometimes you do. I know what I am now is I don't have a clear idea around what I want to do. I know what I don't want to do. I don't want to do what I've done before. I know what I want to feel like, which is, working with, I know some like design principles, working with good people. There's a certain amount of money to make, hours, types of work. But I'm not attached to what it actually looks like. It's not like I have a vision of, oh, it's going to be a SaaS company or a consulting company or this company, and I just need to go build it. I actually don't know. And there's lots of days where I'm like, because I'm doing something I feel like is brand new, at least for me, and not getting back into the old kind of ruts of stuff I've done before and creating something new. There's lots of days when I think, is this going to work? What's this going to look like? How long is it going to take? I can get into that mode. And the reality is, it's a kind of going back and reminding myself of recentering on just taking the steps. Kind of evolve. It's almost like if I have a random seed. I don't know what the flower is, but I'm like putting it in the ground. I'm watering it. I don't know when it's going to bloom. I don't know what's going to be. Is it going to be a tree? Is it going to be a flower? I have no idea. Can I take the steps to nurture it and build it? And I know I'm going to do something, but it can be frightening, and I can see why a lot of people don't start on the entrepreneurial journey, because there's such a temptation to want to know where you're going to get to before you start. And actually, that's not just entrepreneurs. That could be parenting too. I mean, there's lots of places in life. It's like, I'm not going to start until I know it's going to work out. Like I'll start when I know where I'm going. And sometimes that works, but a lot of times it doesn't. And so I know for me, I have to be willing to step into the unknowing or the uncertainty. Uncertainty is just not having to know where it's going to go to get there. And I think another example is that lots of entrepreneurs, this company you start with very frequently doesn't end up as a company that works out. Almost always changes. I don't know if there's like statistics or anything, but it's like, okay, I'm going to start a company, or I'm going to start a thing, and I'm just going to kind of see where it goes and not be too attached to like what it's going to look like or how long it's going to be. So that's what I was thinking about today.
That takes habit to build up that not knowing but still going courage. Man, what's me with
rhyming? Look, you got a rhyme. Not knowing but still going. I like it.
Yeah, it's like that's like going to the gym. It's like you have to build that up. I feel like being in the speaking out, even if you're not a podcaster, even with a therapist, or you know what I'm talking about, speaking out where you're not worried about being too chatty with another human. They're there listening. Can I ask you a question, Aaron? And I'm sure
it depends on the question.
Your super fans that, like me, literally my first SaaS role, we read your book in the first week of training, like a textbook. So I'm sure there's other people that are wondering, as they watch these episodes, Aaron is so good at not knowing where he needs to be going and still knowing it's right. And so my question for you is, because it's what I want to do, it's my main goal, my main purpose, to speak on stage, forget the stage, to speak and transfer my energy and help to other humans. And it would be my dream life to be paid. I'm not even going to say huge rich money. I'm going to say if that paid for me to live, I'm not even going to say comfortably. You know how I love my Navy SEAL simple life, just to live, then that's my dream. Do you, I'm not saying you want to like speak at Google and maybe all like businessy. I know that you're searching and going and flowing, so you don't want to be pinned down, but you love travel. We're catching you in these different cool places. You live in Scotland, you're hopscotching from all over these cool places. Doesn't getting booked for speaking gigs, and then obviously having maybe what you're going through in a good way, like you don't need to know where you're going, podcast or not.
Well, I mean, first, yeah, no, I still do speaking. You know, sometimes it's free at events, sometimes it's paid. You know, there's been a lot of years. I don't remember when I started to get paid for speaking. I don't remember, but I know first I did. I mean, you could go and do speaking. For me, I did a lot of speaking for free before I felt like I had my groove down and started. Then I kind of like, okay, I'm gonna start charging. And I don't know if that was like dozens of different things, but part of it was speaking was to practice and get comfortable. The speaking part, and part of it was what's the message and the content, and kind of hone it. And by that time I had a book out. So there's a lot of factors that got me into, you know, 5-figure. Then, you know, I mean, there's, you know, like thousands to sometimes tens of thousands of for different events. You know, obviously with COVID was slow, and it took, I don't know, a bunch of years. I couldn't remember back. It was like 5 years or, but like anything else, if you feel like you want to do it and you kind of, you know, you're putting in the different kind of practices. And I think too, a lot of it's like getting fit. You know, you're exercise. You want to do it. You find a type of exercise that works for you, and you kind of stick to it. And you shake it up once in a while. At some point, speaking is the same way. And there's more opportunity to speak, at least online, and like in person. I just think there's going to be more and more opportunities to speak because everyone's just trying to get more content. So for me, I think the important the knowing. What do you say? Knowing but not knowing but not knowing, and then there's the, you know, not knowing but keep going. It's not like I don't have. Yeah, and I think that the tricky part is there's lots of times I get, you know, scared, anxious, uncertain. That's just part of it. So it doesn't necessarily kick me off track. You know, do I have doubt, self-doubt? I have moments of self-doubt or times, yeah. Overall, do I self-doubt? No, but there's, you know, it's like up and down. Like the average is higher, but there's, you know, ups and downs. So it's not like going into something and committing to something like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna like do it and it'll kind of, it'll happen. I mean, I got my ups and downs too. Now, if it was going into, you know, I mean, we've had a lot of kids, and sometimes we had kids, whether adopted, because we kind of committed to doing it before we knew it was going to work out, like adopting someone, or, you know, if you get into a new relationship, and, you know, it's like if you wanted the finality, the clarity of saying, oh, I'm only going to do this when I know they're the right one, you'd never, you know, try anything. You never learn anything because you never would know. So I think it's very hard. It's like if you fall into this category, this camp of, I'm not going to do anything unless I know how it's going to work out before I start. It's easy to get caught in, again, kind of a I don't know, mature life. Like you're kind of, it makes it hard to break out and do new things. It makes it harder to kind of get outside. And like, again, maybe you can be totally happy there. That's awesome. It works for you. Amazing. But if you're like, you know, I feel stuck, I'm not really happy at work or my relationship or my physical routine or whatever it is, and you're not really sure what it is, it's going to look at, do I need to do something new in some area? And I'm just not willing to go experiment without, and unless I know it's going to work ahead of time. I totally get it. It's like, it's hard to say, hey, I'm going to do you know, go to the gym and try to build muscle. And for me, it's really hard to put on muscle. It's so easy to go there and be like, oh, it's not really doing anything. And so like, why bother? because I don't know how long it would take. If I wanted to add 5 pounds of muscle, like I have no idea how long it would take and what it would take. I just have to kind of go in to do it, and it might take a year, or maybe I couldn't do it. Maybe I could. I mean, I think I could. I don't have muscle, so it's
Yeah, you for sure could. This is my expertise, where our ages don't matter. You for sure could. I have the Arnold Schwarzenegger wannabe, and I am really a lean Bruce Lee. But to me, this all rhymes. It sounds so goofy. But that little bit is so impactful, and they're just a stranger that you've met once, but it's weird. The people who follow us on social, it may be noisy, like our book talks about, where it's noisy in your life, how to escape from it, but it does attract you to different like-minded tadpoles that'll grow into big bullfrogs. Like you and I,
that's true.
deep-seated to some pain or insecurity, makes you really good at something. Like that's the superhero ether. It's where it's rooted to something that you don't even know why you
I mean, a lot of like people's like talents come from, could be genetics, could be trauma. You know, it's like if you have challenges and it pushes you to do something about them. You know, there's a lot of reasons people can get motivated. Thinking back, I think of Taylor Swift. A lot of her music seems like it's inspired by trauma, relationship trauma. You know, I guess it works for her.
Yeah, you're right. And she kind of puts the "I'm winning," you know, kind of thing. Like you
I mean, I mean, ultimately, like, no, I don't know. No one knows what it's like to be actually in her shoes, and how much of that is, you know, kind of what her actual persona in life is like. But I mean, it looks good on the outside.
I ran into I gotta edit that out. I ran into Adam Sosnick of the David podcast, The Valuetainment. I would say they are top 5 business podcasts on the internet, on YouTube. I ran into the kind of like the funny business guy, relationship guy, in the cat food section. I'm like dropping cans of cat food. Luckily, he has tons of cat food. Clearly a cat guy. I tell him about our podcast. Tell him my dad produced the Coen brothers' first movie, and I'm trying to, like, you know, show my value. Anyways, hopefully we'll have him on the podcast. But my MacBook thought I was too annoying, so it stopped working. How is it over there?
That's sweet. That's been great, actually. You know, I was in Helsinki for a couple of days, and then Stockholm for a day, maybe a quarter. But you know, some business meetings. But you know, one of the reasons we moved to Scotland was so that we could explore more of Europe, which is super interesting and exciting. There's just so much more variety here in a close, you know, reachable area than in the States or California. And so, like, one of the best parts was in Helsinki, going out to this sauna with there's a CEO of this company that I was meeting with, and like we kind of got something to eat. Then we went into the hot sauna, and then we jumped in the ocean, which is like ice cold up in the back of the hot sauna, back in the ocean. Now, I'm not one of these cold swimmer types, like, so I mean, I can get in, but I really have to like rally. And the first time I jumped in the water, I like total, like, lungs are frozen, can't breathe. So it lasted for whatever, 10 seconds, 20 seconds, probably not 30, I don't know, long enough. Second time was easier, but that was awesome. It's like hanging out with someone. I mean, it's look, you know, do some business, like looking to join and board their company. That plus we just get to hang out. So it's really kind of going back to the old way of relationship building and getting away from just like mercenary business, where it's purely kind of just making money with people and what can you do for me, towards like enjoying the people at the same time. And so I think tends to be more the case with teams. I don't know, like every business is a bit different. So sometimes teams don't really get a lot of that kind of like bonding with each other. Sometimes you do. Sometimes you get that with customers, sometimes you don't. But for me, I really want to, you know, like amplify that for myself. Like, you know, either only or like 89% working with people like that, where I just have a good time with them and we have a good business fit. So, and plus, it's in the Nordics. It's awesome.
That is not your regular CEO, should I join the board business meeting. The cold ocean, especially, is that like a European, they're more.
It's the Nordics. Yeah, the sauna, especially like Finland. It's a big part of the culture there.
Step thing that he does, like the sauna.
No, I think
that's more.
Yeah, no, another friend that recommended this place, this sauna is called Loli. I can't pronounce it. And so ended up, we met there. He hadn't been there, so we did that together and we had a good time. And
what do they do?
Yeah, it was that's the name of the business or the sauna?
The business. Enough with the sauna. What does the business do? How many, is it on a trajectory?
Yeah, it's called Leado. It's like 5 million ARR, and they do basically help increase website conversions for companies. They've got some creative ways to create not even chatbots, but conversational marketing within web pages and with salespeople. So it's really about increasing conversions from websites, making it more interactive and feel more natural in the way you engage with people, and not so much on the chatbot side, something a little more built in, not as in it's like kind of annoying pop-up side. Yeah, so I brought my 13-year-old son Maverick to a speaking event in Malmo, Sweden. Do that with kids when some trips aren't really kid friendly. This one was a lot of meetings and things, and a lot of walking, like hours of walking yesterday with some different people here. There's like walking meetings yesterday here in Stockholm. It's sometimes it's kid friendly, and so kind of rotate with the kids to take them along. So Malmo, Sweden, was a talk.
Yeah, that was only 2 months ago, and you had the same type of faith. This is why we came to Europe, to hopscotch the ponds and meet these different cool CEOs.
Yep.
So wow, how quickly it turned into a sauna and a cold ocean dip.
Yeah, I'm like ready to. Yeah, it was great. Yeah, like take kids around and the family around parts of Europe to expose them to other cultures and experiences, and yep.
Amazing. Is the Leado tool for personal use, or is it for B2B teams? Like, have you tried it or no?
Yeah, it's for B2B teams and companies, but they do have a new kind of like sales assistant that's a personal tool. It's like Linktree, but more like a kind of chatbot interface. So it's like your own personal chatbot with people. In fact, I'm testing it out. It still just came out of beta, and yeah. So I had some people take a look at it, compare it to like a Linktree, and they thought the Leado interface was more natural and better fit for what I'm doing. So it's got some kinks to work out, but yeah, that's cool. But mainly it's for kind of currently marketing people who are trying to increase conversions on a website, and they're going to have some sales tools coming out sometime this year. They're expanding still. But yeah, great people. Yeah.
Sounds like you kind of like it. And then it's also the plus of just lifestyle design, of working with people that make and what you enjoy and who you enjoy. So amazing. Leado, big plug there. Leado. Yeah. You mentioned something, a lot of walking meetings in Sweden. Is that a Swedish thing? Is that a European thing? You can think of in Japan, they bow in the beginning of a business meeting. So every place has a different thing. Is that why so much walking meetings?
I think it's more of a me thing. So like walking, it's especially it was nice. I mean, it's a nice day. Today it rained here, so it wouldn't have worked out as well. But yesterday was like gorgeous day, way to explore the city, get some exercise, move around, a little more dynamic than sitting around. I mean, like getting coffee, I'm all for that too. But walking. And one of them was like walking to get a coffee and walk around the park. And was like walking around, and we got a beer. So I think I did like three different people walks. I had one like in an office meeting too, but so I probably was out walking for like 4 hours yesterday. So and then staying at a hotel where I went up and down 8 flights of stairs because the elevator was so slow. I got my cardio in yesterday. That was a lot, but it was great. Today I'm on airplane sitting on my butt. So it all balances out.
That's okay. How long's the flight? It's not too long of a flight.
No, well, it was going to be a longer one. They had to connect. Now, the first flight got delayed. So I have an extra 5 hours here to get through. So now I'm on a direct flight from Stockholm to Edinburgh is an hour and a half.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's not long. From Edinburgh to Helsinki is 2.5 hours ish. So there's a
Hey,
lot. It's like in Edinburgh. There's it's not London, but we have a lot of direct flights to a lot of cool places in Europe.
hey, there's definitely news about incoming global recession. I've heard August, whatever, maybe not, maybe, whatever. But especially since you not only live in Scotland, but then you're traveling around Europe, is there a depressing energy, or is it, what? Yeah. Well, how is it over there?
I haven't picked up on any of that here. Yeah, no kind of depressing energy or feeling a recession. People aren't talking about that.
Is it that America gets more news that has opinions, and maybe Americans listen and watch more news? Or
I feel like there's more chatter in the United States, just like people jawing about everything just to talk. Like we need stuff to talk about. 24-hour news. If we don't have something to talk about, let's make up something to talk about. I do feel like that's more of cases in the States. It's like let's just talk about stuff just to talk about stuff and go around in circles because like we just need stuff to talk about.
I don't want to sound too smart here, but one of the articles I read says that fear chatter is coming from the hedge funds who have been able to flourish and do really well, and now something's got to give, and they're not going to be able to show fancy returns with so much cash in the world. And so they're the ones who are, if I said that right, I'm not even sure if I
Yeah.
said,
I don't know, like I'm old enough to know, and I'm not have been an economist and things, but like every once in a while, and I don't think there's been a really big recession since maybe 2009. I mean, COVID was, but that's just a weird. To me, it feels like there's always these things always come and go. Maybe like severe ones every 10 years. They put us again. I mean, we got through it, and I haven't been, 20 years ago with the bubble one in 2000, 2000, and I had a
2008,
business
2000.
2000, and that's the one where I had a business went bankrupt. We raised a few million in venture, and that was the most painful one. In 2008-9, I didn't even really notice it. They're just doing different things. Like a lot of stuff I do isn't really affected by. My life tends not to be as affected so far. I'm not going to try to jinx that.
Aaron, that bankrupt venture, was that before predictable revenue, or was that after?
Yeah, that was way before.
So your audience and super fans and people like the CEO of Leado, they need to know that about you. A lot, like you wouldn't, I wouldn't have ever known that you had that much of a wow. You can call it the earlier you get punched in the face, that you had that early of a face punch before. I thought that you literally went from awesome college, super investment banker, turned early Salesforce employee, and then predictable revenue.
You don't remember the part. Okay.
That was in my head.
Does this ring a bell? In the beginning of predictable revenue, I had a business that was failing, and on like Friday nights I'd go home and play video games and drink. Does that ring a bell?
Wow, you were that.
It's in the book.
How honest you were in the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, we could do it a separate time talking about that, or my divorce when I was 30. Got that early punch in the face. Those are probably the two most kind of like obvious, like big failures. And there's always like lots and lots of micro failures along the way, whether it's with parenting, relationships, business, money, constantly failing. It's one thing or another every day.
So cool.
Those are two big ones.
With all that, in episode 4 or 5, I think we talked about that divorce that was, can we say, good for you? Even though it was another early punch in the face learning experience.
Yeah, by now it's fine. Like back at the time, it of course was horrible, but yeah, it's been a while. It's been a bunch of years, and I got a lot out of it ultimately. who, I don't remember who said this, some comedian, that tragedy plus time equals comedy. So it's kind of the flip side, of like tragedy plus time equals learning, powers, skills, wisdom. But I think someone else said, you know, good judgment only comes from having bad judgment. A lot of paradoxes in the world.
I feel like that's
Yeah.
good that's high intelligence to be able to transform tragedy into comedy over time.
Yeah, well, I think you have, I mean, if you have a comedic streak, but yeah, I think, you know, comedy, a lot of comedy has, they say, it has a grain of truth in it. The people who study it. So there's something about like taking real life and putting a twist on it, so that there's sometimes the same things people are thinking but not saying, or saying that something's a little shocking. I don't know. It'd be interesting. I don't have a desire to be like a stand-up comedian or do comedy, but it's kind of interesting. There are systems of comedy.
I think the new comedian over the next 10 years will be the business guy turned comedian, or, you know, that's always been that way. Great actors were teachers and then they pack everything. Yeah. But it also is just speaking. It's also just getting, for anyone career thinking out there, it's also just getting paid to speak. You're speaking in a comedic way. So you're already.
Yeah, hopefully. But like a lot of professions, or maybe every profession, there's the 99% and there's the 1%. It's not just
what
art.
To actually make it.
Well, make it in a big way, not just like make it the way that you're like, oh, I really want to, you know, live above my, you know, above the lines. Like it's more obvious in like art and music, but in work too, sales.
But remember, we're writing Stumble Your Way to Success. And the whole book is about redefining your definition of success. And it might not be, it has to be a little bit in a financial way, but
yeah, it should be.
Yeah.